On stream, I asked you to submit your tactics for me to look at and rate, but I don't trust myself. So I've invited Tom and Clayts, who I'm assuming are both waving right now, to rate your tactics with me. And the first one, hold on, I haven't loaded it yet.
Can I stop waving?
No.
So it's not just the tactic. You got to write to us, explain to us what was going on. And this is the description of tactic number 1. I have 3 tactics here. Oh, fuck. First one's with Colchester, ported from FM23, and it's a 3-4-2-1. It's great because not quite sure, but it works well. That's it. That's all we have to go on. And as you just saw, this is what the tactic looks like. Can either of you explain to me what the hell is going on here?
I think what he's tried to do is try to use as many different roles as possible. Is it a Christmas tree?
This is more of a. It looks like a fighter plane, right? Like a nice modern fighter jet, doesn't it?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
So if we're actually breaking this down, we're rating a tactic, right? We've got 2 wide center backs and a libero. Who's in the middle? Like when everybody goes to the place that they're supposed to be, I feel like there's no actual defender in the middle of the field.
That was my first thought as well. It just makes no sense defensively, which must mean it works because they have all the possession in midfield and they're just on the attack all the time. It must be a we'll score one more than you formation.
Well, I'm a big fan of the 2 attacking midfielders. That's always fun. If you can have that behind one striker, the runs are unstoppable. But this is I have no idea how this would look in the match.
The rest of it's like pretty standard, and like you can see how it all fits together. The defense is baffling. It matches the tactical style name, which is LOL.
I mean, look, at least they're self-aware. I mean, all they had to say was they don't know why it works, but it works, which leads me to the question, how did you end up trying it in the first place?
I think surely this tactic gets better if you change the libero to a ball-playing defender, and then you've got some actual defensive stability in the middle, because those wide centre-backs are just going to leave a huge gap, surely.
The way I'm seeing this work is that you have the Segundo Volante would go into like attacking midfield when you have the ball. The shadow striker becomes the second striker. The attacking midfielders like living in that half space, since that's the buzzword. You've got your wingers that are just basically the entire flank of your team. The libero steps up next to the deep lying playmaker. That's how that works, right? So you basically have 2 defensive midfielders with 2 wide center backs.
Yeah, the keeper's either doing a lot of sweeping or somebody must, through like positional play or something, somebody must be dropping into that center back spot somehow.
Maybe the wide center backs just don't go as wide when there's a libero. Has anybody ever played with that before?
No.
I've never tried it, no.
Well, I mean, this is so out of the box that even 3 people that just did play Football Manager all day, I've never put my team in this position, because as they said, it should not work.
I mean, I did just click on the in transition instructions, and one of the instructions is to distribute to fullbacks whilst not having fullbacks. So,
Perfect, yes.
Yeah. What rating system are we even going for here?
Oh, a scale of 1 to 10. Sorry, scale of 1 to 10.
For pure madness, which is how I'm going to rate these tactics, I think. I'll go 7.3.
Oh, we're opening up a decimal system here.
Wow.
Yeah, I think for fighter jet gate here, we're going to go with a 6.9.
Nice.
My rating, if this actually works, I'm going to go with an 8.27 because I think that this is a tactic that you could find a lot of people to play in. There are a ton of natural wingers like new gens that come into the game. I mean, it feels like there's 80 million attacking midfielders anytime you play a season. They just start spawning in everywhere. The ability to use a libero and have these defensive... I love this. I could see myself trying to use this 8.27. I'm gonna go highest.
It's fun, right?
It's fun.
It's all of there are a lot of the roles that when you're trying to have a bit of fun with the tactic, these are the ones you put in, like the wide centre backs and the liberos, Segundo Volante in there. So yeah, I can get on board. It's fun.
They should do like defensive wingers or something. The wingers are too basic considering the rest of the tactic.
And an attacking midfielder on support.
Where's the trequartista when you need it?
Come on.
Now, I've got this loaded up as a Lincoln City save, because obviously.
Right.
And actually, this does fit Lincoln's team really well, and I might try a Lincoln City save with this formation, because it does actually look really fun.
You rated it the lowest, Tom. What do you even...
Yeah, but, I was doing jokes.
He went for memes.
It went for memes, but it's good. I do want to try it.
What's your actual non-meme rating for this tactic, Tom?
I'll go in the middle, 7.8.
Okay. Very diplomatic.
What's the average of that, Z?
Next! The next submission is from Sebastian Patrickson, going by Principal Agent 9000 with a 33112. Oh, dear God. Well, I mean, okay, so. This is insane, but I feel like it makes more sense.
Extra marks for having 2 liberos. He also does have the Trecatista in there. So I'm just doing roll bingo, and he's got himself a good score already from me.
I'm going the opposite way with it. I don't like these 2 liberos. I just think that's not going to work, personally.
I think what you end up with here, right, is an anchorman's going to drop down, right, and the liberos are going to go up. So you basically have 2 defensive midfielders that are coming from your center back position, and then you have you have your ball playing defender, and you have the anchorman. The complete wingbacks, we all know that they're never playing any defense. They're just flying up the field. This is like a really messed up front 3, where like instead of just having a striker and 2 wingers, you've got an attacking midfielder and like an offset false 9. This is like you want to have 3 men up front, but you just want to make it look really fancy.
Yeah, exactly that. I wanted to make a really interesting tactic, so I've changed a couple of the roles around to make them look fun.
You know what they're using, though, that makes me sad? Because it's always an admission that you don't think your team is that good. They're using whipped crosses.
Yeah, low crosses is the meta, isn't it, in 24 at the moment, I feel. So whipped, that's not the best of moves.
What do you think the meta is for crosses?
Oh, low crosses, 100%.
Oh, low crosses? Okay, I'm using that, but I didn't know it was a meta.
I've moved away from low. I was always low crosses, because low crosses, they use mixed crosses anyway, right? That you put low crosses and they don't cross it low most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
I've started using mixed crosses. I quite like it.
Wow, you're living dangerously.
Yeah.
I just realized we didn't even read what our boy Sebastian actually sent to us.
Oh, yeah.
So let me read that. To start, I saw a similar tactic on FM Reddit and loved it. I modified it to work with my team and have been using it since. I also changed the tempo slightly lower, the cross setting to whipped, how dare he, and distribution to playmaker, throw it long kicks. If opponents press with a lot of people up high, making it difficult to play out of the back. I've been using it with Hamburg in Germany, so he calls it a 3-3-1-1-2, but it's a 1-3-4-2 in attack. So I guess the anchorman doesn't drop in. That's great when you have possession because then you overload opponents in a lot of different areas. It's also a joy watching when it works. I've seen so many beautiful goals. Sure, it's probably not the best tactic logically, but it's so beautiful. However, I'm currently first in the Bundesliga in 2027 after finishing second last year. However, Bayern's really been bad this year. I've also beaten PSG and Chelsea in the Champions League with this tactic. So this is a tactic for the beautiful game. This is for the connoisseur.
Yeah, doesn't sound like he's not describing it as like OP or anything like that. There's a few good results in there and he's top of the league, but he's also admitting that it's probably because Bayern are bad this year.
I love the self-awareness of that.
Yeah.
That makes me like the tactic more, actually, because
Same.
It's not something that's going to be overpowered and it's not going to win with every single team possible. He's doing it because he just loves the game. He loves how it looks. And it's worked out quite nicely this season.
When you can build a team to match this, you need to find certain types of guys that can play as a libero. Not most center backs you find aren't going to be able to play for your team at all if you want to do this.
I like it. I like Tom says. I think the fact that it isn't designed to exploit, it's designed because it's fun. I think there's bonus points there.
How many bonus points? It's rating time.
I'm going to give this one, the Principal Agent 9000's 33112, 7.8.
Oh.
I'm going to give this one, I prefer this one to the previous one, and it gets extra bonus points for him being self-aware about it. So I'm going to go 8.4.
All right, I'm being driven crazy by the decimals, so I am going to go with a 6. I'm going to stick to round numbers from now on. I'm going with a 6.
Why only a 6? What don't you like?
Well, the point of a tactic is to win the game. The guy's admitting that he doesn't think the tactic is actually that functional. Now, I respect building a system and like building that like you're gonna want to build into it. But you're trying to win the game. End of the day.
He is top of the league though. He can still win.
I know
with
he is.
This.
I'm just saying that it's weird to be playing a tactic where you're like, yeah, I don't think it's the best, but it's fun. That is fun. But if you're asking for a rating on how good I think the tactic is, I'm going to go with a 6. Because I also agree. I mean, he has one defender.
Yeah, horribly defensively. If you get like some quick plays on the counter-attack, you're done for, right? But I respect the guy, and I'm giving him a big rating.
Next, we have the wonderfully titled Ars Meta 4141 _ meta.
10. 10.
Oh, yes. This is so good, too. What did he write about it? Okay. On the tactics screen, a 4-1-0-4-1. This is the first time I've ever seen somebody include a 0 in there. In possession in the engine, it's a 2-3-4-1. Needs speed on the wings and a strong striker. What I like, it worked for all of my clubs at various levels. Best with Arsenal, but also really well even at Weldstone, although I had to modify it and needed some signings. Destroying Bundesliga 2 with a previously mid-table Schalke. If I'm 3+ goals up, I switch to balanced and lower tempo. Other things that he likes, forces the opposition back every time you get possession. With the inverted wingback on support, functioning as a deep-lying playmaker, they always have 5 players to aim at, either with a through ball or to bounce passes off of. The opposition gets occupied with the 5 attackers, and they can't really counterattack effectively, and when our team is pinned in, we have an out with the ball. The 5 defenders usually play short and pleasing passes in the middle until an opening, then they release one. And this tactic always gives me the best stats for shots against, goals for, and passes completed. So not only is it absolutely a looker, this is apparently very good.
But I think it's only good because it's probably exploiting how the match engine works, right? If you tried this in real life, you'd lose every game, surely.
You can't tell me Pep hasn't run this tactic out before, though.
Yeah, but if he's doing it against Weldstone, then yeah, sure he will win.
I think he was managing Weldstone, Tom. Get your lore right.
Come on. I do feel sorry for the defensive midfielder. And that I did say 10 before, but I might drop it to a 9.8 because he looks so lonely. Look at him. Just there, all alone in the middle.
If this was Football Manager from a few years ago, this would be over in the midfield constantly from your assistant manager, wouldn't it?
Oh, I miss the overrun in the midfield days. Those were the days.
Remember Gung Ho?
What?
Yes, that was my favourite. I always went Gung Ho.
It wasn't very attacking, was it? It was Go Gung Ho.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I'm not even kidding.
I don't know if that's going back to like Championship Manager days back in the day, basically.
It was Go Gung Ho. You're not.
Yeah. No, it was a thing for sure.
Well, this tactic is on attacking with 5 dudes. This is basically 5 playing defense, 5 on attack. That's all this is.
What's the passing directness? And they're passing short as well. I feel like the short passing with this is going to be interesting to develop it from the back to all of those attackers because they're all on attacking duties. Where's the build up?
So what he said was basically it's these 5 guys at the back just knocking the ball around until they find a way to progress the ball. The way I'm understanding this is he probably has a couple of really terrible turnovers, but they're just knocking the ball around short at the back and then they'll, play the ball off one guy or just go long or something. But what we haven't noticed yet is the intensity of this tactic is absolutely insane.
Yeah,
I'm clicking into the attacking midfielders and they've got the instructions closed down more. So it's really a defend at the high end of the pitch
from the front
first and foremost. Yeah.
This is probably an amazing pressing tactic.
Can you imagine like the runs in behind their defensive line from these 4?
Oh, it's a nightmare. Yeah. It's an absolute nightmare. I'll just say it. They're doing one thing that always makes me uncomfortable. They have an inverted wingback and an inside forward on the same side. There's no wide player over there. That always just makes me uncomfortable.
I feel like this year, though, you can kind of get away with it because of the movement. They'll kind of like that inverted inside forward on that left-hand side will still go wide, like no matter what instructions you put on him. Yeah, that's probably why it works.
I suppose
and he's
that's
probably forced to stay wide, isn't he? Because there's so many players in that same space as well.
Yeah.
So he's got room to go inside.
This is actually, though, I'm pretty sure exactly the way Pep lines up. When his team's in possession, it's 2, 3, 4, 1. And that's exactly what this person's trying to create. So I respect that. I am going to give this an 8 out of 10.
10. Arse meta.
I forgot. Okay, 9 out of 10. I forgot it was called the ass meta. It's a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll give it a 9.6 out of 10 for Arse meta.
I low-key might use this tactic, despite the loneliness of the defensive midfielder.
I think we should make Arse meta a thing. And
what is
really
even,
put it
what
out
is it
there.
even for? It's not even asymmetrical. I figured with the title it would be like, ass is short for asymmetrical. This is he just went for it.
He's not been managing Arsenal, is he?
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's for Arsenal.
Oh, there we go.
You've ruined it a bit there.
You're welcome. Next! All right, time for tactic reveal. 3, 2, 1. I love this one. Mainly because it's not offensive, and I feel like every other hack tactic is offensive.
This is a purist tactic. This is
I love the simplicity of it. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
The simplicity of it. I will say this shape, I don't know what you guys do when you're playing with terrible teams. When I play with terrible teams, I play in this shape. Not this way, but the 4-4-2 with two midfielders that are deep. It works every time.
When in doubt on this year's game, two deeper midfielders is just the way to go. If you just want a bit of solidity, have two of them in there, and then you kind of can do whatever you want with the other ones, I find.
Before we get too far, well, let's read what they told us. So, submission from Jay. Sending my hybrid 4-2-2-2-3-2-5 system I played with Fiorentina that's all about positional play. This tactic has given me 3 consecutive European finals and a league title. First season, finished 5th. Okay, he runs through his seasons where he did finish 1st in the 3rd season with 95 points. The system relies heavily on positional rotation and is designed so that it can be a dominant possession-based tactic against lesser opposition and to also be a compact counter-attacking tactic against the big guns. I like the way I like the way Jay's thinking here. The philosophy is all about flexibility without needing in-game tweaks. It defends in a very compact 4-4-2 like Simeone's Atletico, but can transition into a pretty fluid attacking tactic as well, is basically what they're saying.
When I first saw it, I thought lower league, but interesting that he says in there that he's winning things, and
Yeah.
I think he said Champions Leagues and things, which... Yeah,
well, 3
enough.
European finals. I don't think he won any of them, or they won any of them, because I feel like you would have included that. Yeah, the thing. But I'm surprised looking at this tactic. I feel like it'd have to be more attacking in order to score against teams that are expecting you to be good.
And like the mentality's balanced. There's no instructions.
I love that, by the way. I love
same.
having no instructions in there.
But it is surprising that it's as successful as it seems to be. So
Looking on the player instructions, both the wings are set to take more risks, so I presume that just gets them further forward anyway. I'm interested that the halfback also has take more risks on there.
He does,
considering they're meant to be like a really defensive, strong unit there.
and dropping in between the centre halves. Yeah, weird.
They have a connoisseur's addition to this as well, which is their fullbacks have shoot less often on, which is a must this year.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually. Shoot less often is kind of like an important thing. I always put it on just anyway, anyone defensively, because I just don't want them taking shots, regardless, really.
That's fair.
I don't trust them at all. But, it just, like he says in the formation name, right, it transitions to a 3-2-5. So the Volante, the wingers, must get further forward to really create that 5, right? And then, of course, the inverted wing back, go further forward. So actually, you've got to have some pretty decent players to be able to pull that off. So maybe that's why it is succeeding at such a high level.
Yeah, I feel like he's pretty much explained it, didn't he? I like it.
This is like taking a lower league English tactic and then just running it through 20 years at the Barcelona Academy. You just took a non-league manager from England, made them spend 20 years at La Masia, and this is what they came out with. That's what it feels like.
Learns the term segunda volante, and this is what happens.
And inverted wingbacks. A lot of the tactics have got inverted fullbacks this game.
Yeah,
I'm realizing maybe I don't use them enough.
Like roles like that, I see them as meta, and I'm like, I kind of veer away from it because of that, I think. And like Segunda Volantes this year too, I find myself holding back from using them because I think these are going to be really good. Maybe I need to live a little.
One thing we didn't point out that I think is bold is because anytime I'm playing this 4-4-2 with 2 defensive midfielders, I certainly never have a high line, but they do. They have a high back line with a sweeper keeper on attack. I don't know if I would have the guts to do that.
Maybe not at a low level, because I think the fitness becomes a bit of an issue at that point as well. But I generally like to play with high lines in whatever formation I'm using. I feel like if I'm defending as hard the pitch as possible, then it gives me more chance to defend further back if things go badly. That's just my sort of philosophy with it.
My line's usually where this one is on higher is usually where I keep my line.
Yeah, but my tactics, in those situations, though, my tactics usually way more attacking. So I am going to go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm going to start the rating. I'm giving this a 10. I am really impressed that you can win the league while playing what I would consider a really defensive base shape. Very impressed by that.
I can get behind it. I'm going to go 9. I'll go 9. Nice round number for you.
Thank you.
What I was thinking was, I feel like this would be really fun to build teams around because it's so simple that you can buy the right players for the right roles, and I'm buying this guy for the halfback. And it doesn't get too complicated. You're not changing things. I feel like that actually adds an element to your save. So, yeah, high 9.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 10 as well. I like the idea, actually, that you start in League 2 with a 4-4-2, and as you get better players in, you think, okay, inverted wing back, let's try it out. And it develops as you get better players in.
When you learn new roles.
Yeah, I think I love it. I really like it. 10.
Perfect. Next! Our next submission is from Lord of Pickles. Tactic reveal in 3, 2, I can't find it. There it is. 1. Oh, hell yeah. This is the second freaking tactic we've had with 2 guys on the back line. Madness. But I feel like this is actually probably an amazing defensive tactic.
The roles aren't particularly out there, so you can kind of see how it fits together, right? I love the inclusion of a centre mid on attack. Bring it back. Those were the days.
Oh.
I like there's like an advanced playmaker on the right-hand side. It's a bit different. Yeah, I'm into it. I like it.
I really love how balanced this tactic is. You've got the winger, and then the inverted wingback is cutting inside of that. Then the center mid on attack. Then you've got the advanced playmaker that's kind of drifting into that half space, and then the wingback going around it. Like, super balanced the way this team goes up the field.
No, I agree. I like the balance. I was concerned initially when I just see 2 centre backs, but actually the anchor's going to drop in there, isn't there?
Yeah.
My only sort of like concern is the attacking playmaker on the wing. I've never had success with advanced playmaker on the wing, sorry.
Can you see his instructions as well? So sit narrower, and then he's marking the I don't know where, like maybe they're 6 or something, but they're marking a specific position.
Yeah, it's
as
weird.
well.
It's weird that we actually can't see that when the tactic is like trans.
Oh no, you can if you go into it left back. So he's marking their left back.
Wow. I've never used that before, actually. I don't think, particularly in attacking players.
Yeah, no, 3 strikers. This was the meta. 3 strikers, and you mark the 2 centre backs with the wide ones, and it causes havoc because then there's 3 of them that they're already in those positions on the 2, so there's always a spare man. So yeah, it's actually, I can see how that could be utilised.
Yeah, the left wing is told to mark the right back as well.
How are you guys seeing that?
Got it. Click on the left winger.
Oh, edit. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I knew that. I was just testing you.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So they also have more width. They've jacked the width all the way up on this.
I think you've got to though, haven't you? When you've got wingers and wing backs in the same lineup like that.
Yeah, I guess it's the wing back on the right that's providing all that width, where you've got the playmaker. And then you've got the wing on the other side doing it.
And that in order to create that kind of 5-man attacking variety that I was talking about earlier, that sit narrower on the advanced playmakers, them just making sure that playmaker's not going to get caught in the outside channel very often and get in the way of whoever you have running right wing back.
Which is, I find that weird that he's also marking the left back, but I guess it must be there deliberately.
Well, maybe once you get the ball, he then runs in, and all of a sudden he's between the left back and the center back. He's just hanging out right there. And then your advanced forward is just always beating the offside trap, whether they have that on or not.
You've got the much higher defensive line on this as well, with the pressing trap.
Very weird. Yeah, trapping towards the middle, which actually makes complete sense, though, because look what's waiting for them in the middle. 4 dudes on defend. It's like a giant lead square in there.
It's interesting as well, because I don't think many people use the pressing traps at all, or even like the cross engagement things as well. I rarely see that used in tactics. So obviously, it makes, like you say, it makes sense in this formation with the way it's set up. And obviously, it must be quite effective.
Did he explain it at all?
Oh, did I not read it? Yeah, I'm hallucinating. Here's the explanation. Thank you, Clayts. The tactic I'm submitting is termed by the game as a 4-3-3, 2 defensive midfielder wide, but the roles make it play very differently. The premise I used to come up with, it was I wanted Arda Güler on the field as a playmaker, but he was so bad defensively that I couldn't have him in the spine as I had the previous season. I'm going to stop this person right there. I think some of the best tactical moves, and to me, the most fulfilling tactics you can make in Football Manager come out of this situation. You're like, I have these players and I want to use them, but I got to figure out a way to get them on the field in a way where everybody can be successful. Back to what he was saying. That meant I had to build a tactic around having an advanced playmaker on the wing, something I wanted to try anyways, and this is where I ended up. Admittedly, the other players in this team are very good, which helps, but this whole tactic is designed to maximize the playmaking possibilities for the AP on the wing. We frequently win the high ball and therefore are able to get the ball to the playmaker behind the midfield line, allowing them to find through balls to the winger, advance forward to get breakaway opportunities. However, if no breakaway is available, that player will drop behind the midfield and look to pick apart the defense from outside the box. So this tactic is, as much as Tom doesn't like it, designed around utilizing a brilliant playmaker and giving them a lot of options to play with.
He did call Atletico though.
Well, okay, so that's a subtraction. But I like this. I would have said a 9. He said Atletico instead of Atletico. And that's a hard lesson I had to learn as an American. Don't worry, I used to be in that camp. I also am definitely guilty of saying Atletico Bilbao a lot before I figured that one out. But I'm going to go with an 8. It would have been a 9, but this is an 8. I do really like this tactic. I think that the defense is great, and I think the only issue is that I love the fact that it's built around one player, but it is really built around one player, and we all know in FM that any player can have a terrible game, and if you have a terrible game from the playmaker, I think you'd really struggle.
Yeah, I go 8 as well. I've bumped it up a little bit because of the origin story. I can really relate to that. The tactics you build to get certain players in because you've got these players and you love them and you want to use them, so you have to tweak things. I think those are, like you say, the most fulfilling ones. So I'll go 8. Also, it's got a CM attack, which is the way to my heart.
I'll go slightly differently. I'll go 7 for me, just because I've never liked playmakers on the wings, but I've never really tried them that much, to be fair. So maybe, actually, if I gave it a go, it might work out nicely. And I do like the origin story behind it as well. So a little bit lower than you guys, but I'd be willing to give it a go.
Yeah. I've used them sometimes, Tom. You just need athletes around them. You need dudes making runs. And that's the way they've set this up, is they get dudes making runs. They do have 2 playmakers, and I didn't make fun of them for having 2 playmakers in the same tactic, but because they're so far apart, I feel like it works.
They're on completely different lines, aren't they? So.
Yeah. I mean, and one's all the way out on the wing, as we've discussed. Next! The next one is from Brian Stewart. It's a 4-4-2 control possession. Are we getting some classic 4-4-2, lads? Okay, 3, 2, 1. Oh, hell yeah.
Brian.
Main
Brian.
line to Sean Dyche greatness right here.
This couldn't be more Brian.
Brian Stewart. Yes.
I don't need to see any more. This is an 11 out of 10 for me.
We have been looking at all of this nonsense. 2 guys on defense, liberos, it's Segundo Volantes, Trequartistas. This is what I needed.
Listen, I know that he's probably renamed the tactic Brian Stewart to submit it in the form, but I really like the idea that he's just called it that in his own save. What should I call it? Brian Stewart.
I legitimately, when I was first looking at it, I'm like, oh, it's a submission from a dude named Brian Stewart. And I'm like, wait a second.
I'm all in on this one, all in.
So my only question is, do we think this is just the preset control possession 4-4-3?
I'm going to test it. I'm going to check.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah,
I literally did it as well. Looked it up, and it's not quite.
No,
it is similar,
it's
though.
pretty close, dude. It's he's changed the striker roles for sure. And the wings are on attack, and he added a playmaker, which is a little anti-classic 4-4-2. But I mean, it's not far away. I love that.
How good is the out of possession instructions?
I've never seen that.
Out of possession mid block. Out to me.
completely unbothered with the out of possession part of the game. Like, I don't know, we're there. We'll defend it. It's fine.
Mid block.
Well, I think mid-block's just default, isn't it? All he's doing is just get rid of everything and leave it as default.
Is it actually? Yeah.
Yeah, that's default. I mean, this is what happens if you don't change a single thing. It just says mid-block and that's it. It is so quintessential. And then for the crosses to be floated, like that's just you're playing for a big man up there. Like this is I'm hearing Rule Britannia in the background while I look at this.
He's literally got the target forward poacher combo. He's got Peter Crouch and Jermaine Defoe. He's fully committed to it.
You looked at the in transition. It's regroup, hold shape, slow the pace down.
Nothing silly, lads. Mid-block.
Absolutely nothing silly. The only silly thing he's doing at all is he's distributing short. At this point, we need to just hit that long to a target man. That's the only thing. That's the only thing he's messing with at all. This is insane. I've never seen a completely blank out of possession. I've never seen somebody with even 2 of the 3 of regroup, hold shape, and slow pace down is like part of the base tactic. And that's all here. And play for set pieces. It's perfect.
What do you want your keeper to do, Brian? Just be a keeper, really, to be honest. Just goalkeeper defend, please. Do you want wing backs? No. Full backs for me. Ball playing defenders. Oh, a little bit exotic that. Central defenders for me.
Can't believe we don't have a no nonsense out there. Wingers just on attack. One deep lying playmaker. This is like a 4-4-2 from 30 years ago that Andrea Pirlo was walking into.
Did he say how good it's done? As he said, he's like one of the Champions League.
Part for the course, we forgot to read what they wrote, and it is no nonsense is the tactic. Discord name Brian. Team Eldon City. Real life Scottish League 2. In save Scottish League 1.
Okay, so he is in the Scottish leagues with this, which does explain a little bit more, right?
And then it says in shape, he creates sections. Shape. It's a
Brian.
4-4-2. Very basic. Shape. Brian. Shape. It's a 4-4-2, 2 center mids. Very basic, I suppose. Love that. But for me, it was about creating a solid formation throughout the squad, and we're newly promoted for the first time in Elgin's history, I might add, to Scotland's 3rd tier. Then there's a why I like it section. The possession is very rarely dropping beneath 50. Even when we lose, we maintain the ball well, which I find quite important. We're also blowing apart some pretty good sides. Greenock Morton was just relegated to our league, so last season it was our 2-division gap, and we've got a 9-2 aggregate scoreline on them so far this season. Honestly, I'm not the best at tactics, so I don't know for sure how and why it works. But considering the gap between us and other teams in the league, I'm glad it's working. Hell yes.
Hell yes.
Hell yes.
Big up Brian Stewart. That's all I need to say.
Yeah, I'm 11 out of 10. 11 out of 10.
Yeah.
Perfect.
15.
Yeah, the biggest number you can think of,
I'm
and then
giving
add
it
1 to it.
Brian out of 10, I am.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you guys for submitting your tactics. If you want to check out both Tom and Clayts, they're tremendous YouTubers that do awesome videos. Their links are both in the description. I will see you guys on stream. Have a good day, everybody. Hope your tactic got a good grade. Hope you learned something.
Brian.
Brian.